Hello to all. Good afternoon. My name is Carla, and I'm from the Council of Europe, from the Intercultural Cities Network project. And I'm here today to talk to you a bit about what this is, and so that you can see and can learn more about it. And then if you have any questions, you can use the comments to send it to me during the presentation, and then in the end I'll try to answer some in written, okay? So, first of all, the Intercultural Cities Network, it's a network all around the world with cities that aim to be more inclusive for all different kinds of cultures and realities. And our methodologies are based in Barry's acculturation model, meaning that what we try to promote, the values we try to promote within the cities are of full integration, meaning that the right mix between people that arrive being able to accept host cultures, but also to retain their home original cultures, in the sense that we can create a blend of cultures within people so that they can maintain their identities within their new place of living. And this model is also based, we also target mostly the relationship between host society and migrants, meaning that the goal is not to focus on migrants and their skills and attitudes and values, or on the host city fully on the rights, entitlements, and obligations of the city, but on the relationship between hosts and migrants, between both realities. So the mixing is what really matters to us, because we're based on the perspective of interculturalism, which is a bit different from multiculturalism, meaning that it builds on the foundations of multiculturalism, but respects difference and values difference, and brings people from different cultures, languages, and faiths together, and reducing the risks and opportunities for divisive politics. And it's just a new skill set, and a skill set that's about intercultural competence. So it's more about how can we create relationships between cultures, not just that they coexist peacefully, like in multiculturalism. So from this perspective, we try to foster the idea that diversity is an opportunity for cities, for societies as a whole, and for all kinds of organizations. But for cities specifically, given that they have these closer relationships with citizens, and they have the mandate to create and build new inclusive forms of solidarity, and to shift from the idea of migrants and new arrivals being people just with needs, and regarding them also with people with resources. They bring added value to the city. They bring something, they bring talent, they bring ideas, they bring new perspectives, they bring creativity, and they bring energy and workforce for sometimes for areas that don't have enough workforce. So they have to be seen as an opportunity in order for interculturalism to truly work. And this has to be a perspective of the city, but also of the citizens living in it. And so the city has also some kind of responsibility, engaging all citizens in reflecting about this diversity as an opportunity, and actually fostering this diversity and valuing this diversity within their cities, and not fearing it. And this means that we have to work through equal opportunities, so that people can really feel they belong. They're not just part of the city, they're full part of the city. They can have a word, they can within the city about things that relate to their lives. Having an intercultural city means inclusive education, inclusive public spaces, inclusive discourses from the city hall, inclusive enterprises, inclusive culture, inclusive bureaucracy processes, and inclusive democracy. Means that people have a voice. So the cities have this role for us, and this is why cities are our target. They are, for us, they can be the main target of intercultural integration. Within the Intercultural Cities Network, we already have 136 cities that are part of this network all over the world. You can check it out on our website. I will leave the address in the end. And then you have information and also good practices of all of them. And all of these cities, they are invited to fill in every 2 years index, Intercultural Cities Index. And this index has several areas when in the cities they fill in this index in order to reflect also about the integration level of the city in different perspectives regarding education, commitment of the municipality, neighborhood policies, public service policies, public spaces, welcoming policies, mediation and conflict resolution, governance, intelligence, international relationships and policies, business and labor practices, and also anti-discrimination practices. So all of these areas are focused on the index. And after the reply of the cities, every 2 years, experts take a look at this filling in of the index, and they will give a report back with also advice on how to improve, and also taking out of this good practices that can be shared with other cities. So one of the goals of intercultural cities is to promote sharing of practices among cities so that they can all grow and develop their practices along the way. This is a learning movement, most of all. So just to give you some examples so that you know what I'm talking about regarding commitment, for example, Mexico City has created a cross-department body, which is not very common in municipalities. And this cross-department body is in charge of the intercultural city strategy. And Subotica, Serbia, has supporting the writing of a new story of Yugoslavia in which Serb, Croat, and Bosnian historians had collaborated. And this is an education initiative. So they created a new narrative on the history of Serbia, also in school books, so that all perspectives could be taken into account when we're talking about the history of the country. This is very interesting. Regarding neighborhood policies in Germany, Berlin, there's an initiative called Give Back, where people that were once targeted by local volunteer actions, they can then give back. They're invited to give back and give time to help others include. So that creates a wheel of solidarity between all of those that can all of people can also be receptive and giving solidarity to others. So that's not just a one-way street. And regarding public service policies in Osman Gazi in Turkey, the local government submitted several proposals for the federal government, advocating for the adaptation of services so that services by the city and by the local government can be appropriate for people from diverse backgrounds. They can be cultural, adapted, and relevant. And this is very, very important for Turkey, as you know, because of all the different realities and contexts. In Lutsk, in Ukraine, one initiative focused basically on public spaces. They created a center for intercultural dialogue in Lutsk Castle, offering a public space for all nationalities and ethnicities to live in the city. And the aim is to unite people and attention on their common history. Also, diversity is a bit on focusing what makes us different and valuing that as an asset, but also what do we have in common. And sometimes we have much more in common than we think. And this also makes us closer to those we think are so much different than us. So this is also a very interesting practice. Regarding welcoming, Braga, a city in Portugal, has created an app, a cell phone app, in 5 different languages, the languages that are spoken for most of the new arrivals in the city. And it has information about the city, services, rights, cultures, and also an interface for the city to communicate with new arrivals, which was not very easy, given that many people arrive and don't really have a relationship with the city hall sometimes for the first years they live there. Regarding mediation, Rijeka in Croatia created a religious, interreligious dialogue group within the European Capital of Culture 2020. And regarding governance, Bilbao in Spain created a local migrants council. meaning that they have a group of migrants that represent, they're changed every year, and they represent different migrant groups in a way that they can be listened to when decision making is happening in the city. Regarding intelligence, Ballarat in Australia has multicultural ambassadors that are elected for 2 years, and they represent minorities in public political meetings. Regarding international policies, Constanta in Romania has an agency that's responsible for monitoring and developing the city's openness to international connections. So it's also a way to take a deep look in how their intercultural and international relationships are. Regarding business and labor, Vinnytsia in Ukraine created Vinnytsia Multicultural Space, a platform for different cultural expressions, and also as a way to develop artistic economy based on this interaction. Regarding anti-discrimination, Lutsk in Ukraine created a series of interpretations of the Quran sessions to aim to dismantle stereotypes about Islam and Muslim world in general, and also build a more understanding relationship between different religions and cultures within Lutsk. And so these are just some examples. You can go into our website and check out more examples, and also download many of our policy guidance and other publications that we have. We have an intercultural city step-by-step manual that you can take a look at, and also anti-rumors strategy manual. It's something that you can also download for free in several languages, and you can try to implement also within your work. And in this website, you will also be able to see which cities belong to the network, and reports on their indexes when they filled it in. And this is it. I hope this was interesting for you, and I will leave my contacts and the website in the comments so that you can take a look later on to all of this information that I just talked about, and I can also share the presentation with you. Regarding your questions, if I have any Arabic models, I researched for it, but sadly we only have some cities in Morocco that are part of the network, and they are the Arabic speaking countries mostly, regarding Serbia also that I already mentioned. And in Morocco, we don't have any of them as filled in the index yet, so we don't have many reports on the practices. What I can tell you is that I'm in contact with a colleague of mine that is responsible for the Moroccan network, and he will probably be available for another webinar so that he can also talk a bit more about these examples that he knows, from a direct contact. So thank you. I will finish the video and we can keep chatting in the comments if you want. And I left my contacts already, so if you need anything, just let me know. Thank you.